Welcome to the Glow Up Girl podcast, the show where purpose meets inspiration. Each week, I sit down with incredible individuals who open up about their real life journeys, the wins, the setbacks, and the lessons in between. Whether you're navigating career moves, entrepreneurship, or just personal growth, you're in the right place. I'm Kyra Mitchell Lewis, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's glow up together. All right, let's talk about our guest today. It is Kym Coco. We are going to be talking about mind, body, glow, turning negative emotions, which you'll learn, growth emotions, into a portal for growth with Kym. All right, Kym is an author, nature loving yogi, and a dog mama of two staffies. She holds a master's degree in sports kinesiology and two 500-hour yoga teacher training certifications, and she is the founder of Swagtail, where she teaches mind-body techniques for emotional resilience, focus, and peak performance. Her latest book is Miracle on the Mountainside, and it weaves together her decades of experience helping people transform negative emotions into clarity, energy, and intentional living. All right, let's grab Kym and bring her into the show. All right, welcome back, and let's welcome Kym to the show. Welcome, Kym.
Kyra, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you and your listeners.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you. So, why don't we get started by having you tell our audience listening or watching who you are and what you do?
I'm Kym Coco, and I work in the peak performance realm with athletes, mostly female golfers. And having been in the yoga world for over 2 decades, I also work with a lot of wellness professionals to shift beliefs, mindset, embrace confidence, and get rid of those hindering beliefs and emotions that block us from reaching that next level of success we're looking for.
Mhm. Awesome. I love that. And I love talking to anybody who can help people be better golf because I am still not good. I'm still not very good at it, but I definitely enjoy playing it.
It's a fun game.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of those games where I really enjoy I like team sports, but I really enjoy like sports like golf and tennis because the mental like mindset that these players and these athletes have in order to play a game essentially alone. I mean, I think I was watching the Rory McIlroy, like, documentary on, Prime recently, and he talked about how, it's like you and a ball, like, essentially. Like, it's you, a ball, and a course. And I was like, yeah, like, it's amazing to watch, like, the resilience, of playing that game, especially.
Yes, I'm really glad you say that because two things come to mind on that initially. First is the idea of a game. As adults, we forget to be playful and we can get into the sport element. And yet,
Mhm,
when you bring back in this playful element to how we're performing in a sport and in
mhm,
the areas of our lives, I know we can do better. It's where we can thrive and have the spaciousness to relax and allow the skills we've already cultivated to come through.
mhm,
And the second thought I have about that is it's amazing how in life, just like say in tennis, the ball's coming at you, or in life, it can feel like things are coming at you,
mhm,
and we
mhm,
want to react or respond, and we can quicken our response time. And like golf, you said it's just you and the ball. But what
mhm,
if it was just us and the next step of our lives?
mm,
It's really interesting to know that we have momentum going, we have skill sets already in play. So, how can we be empowered to know and trust that we have what it takes to execute a swing or execute the relationship or get that
mhm,
job we're looking for or show up for the relationship in a new way?
mhm.
It's very empowering to know that we have that capability.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Kim's already dropping nuggets out there, y'all. So Kim, let's talk about Swagtail. It's a program you created, right? And let's talk about the why behind why you created this.
Swagtail originally started as a yoga-based company.
Okay.
It's named for my dog who swags her little tail. She's so pretty and poised when she struts down the street, and I thought, "Hey, when we are our best selves, that's what we do too, and you can find us in our
Mhm,
element." And she
mhm.
was just a really fun reminder to say, "Hey, we've got this in us. Let's shake off that dust so it shines through more often."
I love that.
And it mainly started as a way to give teachers resources, talk about the
Mhm,
mind-body connection, resources so we can again, have that seamless sense of alignment between what we're thinking and how we're feeling, because when we're in alignment, that performance goes up, the
right.
authenticity, the presence increases. And since golf has become a bigger part of my life over the past decade, past 10
Mhm.
years, I've moved more into the golf realm as well.
Okay, awesome. I love it, but, your yoga background has helped to shape a lot of the approach. How has it, influenced you, in your healing, your writing, and the way that you move through everyday life, and how does it blend with modern science?
Well, let's go back in time a few decades. I was in school studying sports kinesiology. I've always had a fascination for being in team sports.
Mhm.
Mainly, that's how I started. And it was a way through my childhood to navigate trauma. My dad had cancer. He had 3 years where he was very ill, and my soccer team became my family. It became the safe place for me to move and show up and let it all out. Moving is so healing for us. And at the same time, I wanted to take that love of sports and also understand how we could treat our bodies better, fuel this machine in a way where I could thrive and help others to do the same. Ironically, here I am in this master's program, physically fit, and I had a mind that was anxious. I couldn't sleep well. I was stressed. There was so much worry and actually a lot of anger because I hadn't processed that from my past. And my program didn't have tools for that.
Mhm.
So I found yoga. And truth be told, I hated it the first time I tried it. It was too slow. It was boring. I wanted
Uh-huh.
something with a challenge. And thankfully, a friend said, "Kym, come to a class with me. You got to give it another try." And this class was far more challenging. It was sweaty and hot, and people multiple decades older than me were doing these incredible feats of athleticism. And I thought, "Okay, I can sink my teeth into this. Let's give it a shot." And it gave
Mhm.
me a way to move my body and have space for my thoughts to be what they were without attaching to them. I started to learn that there are ways to let go of the stuck emotions or the anxiety or the frustration or the stress and allow the thoughts that we want to come in, those inspired thoughts, the directional whispers to say, "Okay, go in this direction." Feel the heart with a love and understanding and accepting ourselves, even amidst uncertainty. Because I was graduating and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. Excuse my language, but I didn't. And yoga helped me start to say, I can be a whole person. I can be an
Mm,
athlete, a student, a daughter, a sibling, all of these different labels we wear. I can do it more seamlessly, more
mhm,
gracefully, with more love, and don't fight. I call them growth emotions, not necessarily negative emotions, because they're clarifying.
mm,
How can I use this information
mhm,
to then make the next best decision and the next best decision and the
mm,
next best decision and keep moving forward with more confidence in my life from that holistic place.
mhm. Okay, I love that, and I love, I love when tried something that you thought maybe you weren't going to enjoy, right? Because I feel that way about like yoga all the time. When you see it, people just, you think, and I'm like, no, it's actually like really hard. It's like even harder than doing like boot camp style workout because it requires so much like discipline in my opinion. And for the most part, a lot of people when we work out, we want to just be moving in the sense of like, oh, I'm running or I'm punching or I'm kicking or something like that, but not like the discipline that it requires to be focused and do the poses and do all that stuff like that. Your body is really like it really kind of shows you like how amazing your body can be.
Yes.
So
And we slow down enough in those moments undistracted to really appreciate
Mhm.
that capacity.
Yes, yes. So yeah, so I really, really appreciate that. I also appreciate you calling it growth emotions and not negative. I mean, because yes, I think that helps definitely with the mindset of being able to like see it differently. So I do want to kind of extend there where you talk about those growth emotions. You say they can be a portal instead of a prison. Talk about that, and how can people listening or watching us today, like, how can they take that and sort of shift their own mindset?
That's a great question. I said this the other day and I went back and listened. I thought, "Oh, that's pretty good." We look for this idea of being present. Presence is powerful. It's how we show up in the moment. And messiness is clarifying. Those are those growth emotions, those messy times, the uncertain times, the times we kind of want to run from or punch at or reactively respond
Mhm,
to. So, presence is powerful. Messiness is clarifying. What if those are just two sides of the same coin of focus?
mm,
We can be in a moment and they both benefit us. If
mhm,
we're in a growth emotion, what am I learning here? How am I how am I growing, right? How am I changing? What new information am I getting from this to help me see the situation or myself differently? And if it's the presence and powerful, you're already looking at the situation in a way that's supporting you, that's nurturing you, and you can still build on that and add momentum there to enhance the experience, to add more joy, add more love, add more power to what you're doing.
mhm,
So, to answer your second part of your question, the way we shift our focus becomes the portal. And we have that power in any given moment. So, we can see the situation as a prison or as liberating. Is it messy and I'm learning to grow from it? Or am I already in my power and let's celebrate it? So,
mhm,
the way to do that, in addition to just shifting the focus, is starting to ask some simple questions. Let's start with an attitude of curiosity. Instead of
mm,
fighting the moment, what am I learning here? What information is here for me? How is this benefiting me?
mhm,
The second might be a question about not just adding curiosity, but a beginner's mind. If this was a blank slate and I wasn't going to bring a story from the past, what could I do differently now? Many times in yoga, if I would have gone to the second class, let's say, with the mindset of, oh, this isn't for me, it's too slow, it's too hard,
mhm.
I wouldn't have given it a shot. I would have
Right.
blocked the experience in such a way it couldn't have benefited me to the depth that it did. It couldn't have
Mhm,
started the trajectory or even opened the door if I was only looking at it through a lens of the past.
mhm,
So, wiping the slate clean is very helpful. That was then, this is now. And that's a phrase I often use to
mhm.
say, okay, all of that got me here. And now what?
Right. Yeah, yeah. I love that because I love, like, what you mentioned adding, curiosity, being curious, and then also sort of also having that beginner's mindset is, like, that's, like, amazing, right? I feel like too, like you said, I mean, if more people were just curious about things in the world, You could just view your whole experience through such different eyes. Because when you really get curious about like why something is happening, like why is this just happening to me, but just like why is this happening? And let me figure out, like you mentioned, how it can benefit me, versus just going into a place of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. This happened again. Why is this, why me? Why me? Why me? But like just digging into doing the work of like the curiosity of like the why and the what can I take from it? What can I extract to make me a better version of me? How can I use this to grow? Because you just never know. Like, I mean, I feel like everything happens to us for a reason.
As you say that, I find it very interesting because I've been playing with this idea in my head. What if we don't know why?
Mhm.
Sometimes we can get caught in that why
Yeah.
loop,
Mhm. Mm.
and that can prevent us from actually making the decision to go forward.
Yes.
And I
Mhm.
find that maybe the why will be revealed and maybe
Mhm.
not.
Yeah.
And if we can say, okay, this is where I'm at, and look at the preferences that have already evolved or been launched just from the experience. I know that when I'm around somebody that's rude, I want them to be nicer. When someone's very rigid and, they won't bend or be flexible at all, I want to give a little more. I want to find out how we can collaborate. When I get angry, I know I prefer to be calmer and
Mhm.
kinder myself.
Mhm. Right.
So, if in those moments we can already look to what has this caused me to want instead? What is my preference? A preference doesn't have to be big and grandiose. It's just what's the opposite? Where am I going? And many times, if we don't know how to get there, sometimes it's simple. Okay, I was angry. Let me go take a 5-minute walk around the block and I'm going to come back reset. Because getting outside is one of the best ways we can start to shift our emotions into a better place right away.
Mhm.
Or maybe it's something where I say, I don't have the answers right now, but I'm sure somebody I know does. And that's a great opportunity to reach out and ask for help. Reach out to the support network around us and
Mhm.
start to allow ourselves to receive that buoyancy, that connection from other people and help us on our journey. We don't have to go it alone.
Right. Yeah. And I love, oh my gosh, it was, hold on, it was there. And then it just like, my brain was like, nope, it's gone. Okay, I'm gonna table that and let it come back to me. Um, but let's talk about, I would like to, oh, I know, I got it. I'm sorry, everybody, but it came back because I think this was really important. The first, when you first said it, getting stuck in the why loop. That is I'm so glad you said that because while yes, the human side of us always, we always want to understand the why, but like you said, if you're stuck in there, and I imagine when you were talking about it, maybe I was drawing why and I was making the loop that people just keep going back to. And like you said, then I could see the person as you talked it out being stuck like in why, but they can't get out because they won't take the step to just say, you know what, even if I never know why, I'm just going to make this next decision to take a step forward.
Yes. And it helps to get into a more centered space before making a decision. And
Mhm.
that's something where we take that focus element. I can shift my focus relatively quickly. We can take some deep breaths in through the
Mhm.
nose and say out through the mouth to already stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system to calm you down. And that opens up the mind to make a better next
Mhm.
decision. Maybe not the best decision, but a better decision or the next
Yes.
best decision. It doesn't have to be massive.
Mm.
Incremental steps, and I think that's where yoga helped me so much originally was it doesn't have to be so big. What if these smaller incremental steps are the juiciness of life? And
Mhm.
can we find satisfaction in those?
Oh. I love that. Now that, Kim, is word. Because I think that you're so right because I think people we're all guilty of it, myself included. We all think for it in order for it to look like growth or the next thing that it has to be a big thing. But if you just focus on which I know, we all tell ourselves, like, if we can just celebrate the small wins, but I feel like it's such a true thing. And when you do take the time to just celebrate, like, I don't know, sometimes it's just a matter of me, like, at the end of the day, just saying thank you for like being alive. Like, wow, I'm alive, I'm breathing, I didn't have anything hurting today. And now here I am getting ready to lie down and go to sleep. Like, sometimes it's just that small of a joy that, we can just celebrate. Like, it doesn't have to be, "Oh, I got a check for $1,000 today."
Yes, that's why I think satisfaction has become my favorite focus point.
Mhm,
It's mild, it's subtle. Nobody else around us might notice it except for us because it's meaningful to us. I
mhm,
did something or I noticed something that made me feel good. I took a step in a direction toward a
mhm,
goal I'm working for. It could be small. Like I said, nobody might see it. And there's satisfaction in appreciating that momentum. It's
mhm.
small and yet so powerful at the same time.
Exactly. Yes, I love that. Now let's talk about, Miracle on the Mountainside. So, I see it behind you also. For those who are watching, there's the cover, so you know what, to go take advantage of and purchase. Let's talk about sort of the themes of that book.
Can I take you back in time yet again?
Do it. Take us
Okay.
back. Mm,
Kyra, at the same time I was finishing my master's program where I had the stress and I started yoga,
mhm,
I was introduced to Stephen Thompson. He was in the field of emotional kinesiology while I was studying sports kinesiology. And that broad term really just means human movement. He, Steve was using the understanding of the body to detect emotions or stuck emotions and how to release them so that you could feel lighter, more vibrant, more in harmony with yourself. And we know that harmony in the brain, coherence in the heart really just help our system operate more efficiently and we feel
mhm,
better. So they said, "You guys would be great friends." And I thought, I'll go meet somebody. Why not? And
mhm,
we did become fast friends. I started reading books from his library. We'd have these really interesting discussions, and we started to blend these ideas. I decided to take a detour. I went and taught yoga in South Africa and Brazil. I came back over a year later to get my things out of a garage. I was going to move and do something else. And Steve was single at the time. And we thought, okay, we'll risk a friendship for something more.
mhm,
And we never looked back. That was one of those moments
mhm,
I knew. Even though my friends said, "You're crazy," my mom said, "You're gonna be a widow," people were not on board with my decision to marry this individual. And I knew in my heart this was the trajectory for me.
mhm,
So I'd like to remind any listener that those messages, when you know in your heart of hearts, those
mhm,
are such great invitations to step into our fullness, our capacity.
mhm,
And we were married for 12 years, 13 years.
mhm,
The last 2 of those, Steve got really sick,
mhm,
and we simplified our lives. When things get into chaos, it's nice to say, simplify until you get back into control,
mhm,
and delegated stressful tasks, focused on what mattered most. In our case was telling stories. We connected. We had audio recordings in the morning. We had these deep conversations that would become books. I Miracle on the Mountainside is one of them. There's 3 more that will be coming. And we wanted to love being present with each other, love the life we had. And much of that time was very stressful because I got thrown into full time caregiving. I'm not a nurse. This was new
mhm,
territory.
mhm,
And so managing the uncertainty of someone in decline and then being the best me I could be,
mhm,
taking those micro moments to breathe, to get on my yoga mat, to meditate, to care for Steve when he felt well, to savor those moments. So let me go back to Miracle on the Mountainside. This story highlights all of Steve's life. Before I met him, he was in a motorcycle accident. He was driving up a mountain road on a summer day, turned a corner and hit shale, and the bike went sliding 40 feet. And he thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be sandwiched between metal. And I decided to jump. So he did. He leaped the guardrail, only it was now a cliff on the other side instead of a soft landing.
Mm.
And he ended up thinking he was going to bleed to death on the side of the mountain. Bones broken in 110 places, stick puncturing his stomach, helmet cracked. And he thought, this is it. Okay, I've done my best in life. I surrender. And he had a miracle rescue on the side of the mountain. A fire truck was coming up this really isolated mountain road on the way to fight a forest fire.
Mm.
Saw a light shine off his helmet, then passed the bike, and somebody was smart enough to say, that doesn't look normal. They stopped. They were able to get down to him, get a helicopter with blood on it, not just plasma, to then airlift him to the local emergency room.
Wow.
And from that experience, he had 28 reconstructive surgeries, 3 years in a hospital bed, sometimes 9 months at a time in a hospital, 3 more years to learn how to walk, and a complete life transformation. So when I met him teaching emotional kinesiology, he was essentially teaching people how to manage pain, how to understand their body's messages, how to communicate better with yourself and others, how to find that alignment so you can be part of your healing process, not a victim waiting for someone else to help heal you. Because he wasn't getting well until he started to become part of the process. And that choice, that determination he had to shift to helping others, it caused him a divorce. It changed his life. He was afraid to tell his wife, I don't want to go back to our design business. And it is scary to start over. We've all been there to start from scratch. It's overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
So the miracle on the mountainside starts with the motorcycle accident. It goes through all of these snippets of his youth and the early years, the first couple decades of his life, and how the motorcycle accident shifted how he viewed the abuse he endured as a child, the tough times he had, and then how these miracles started showing up, how these doors started opening for him to embrace the possibility of a life bigger than us, of something bigger than us, and how we can be part of that to direct our lives on purpose. And so all the short stories that go along with that. And I can give you an example or two if you're interested.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, one example is one of my favorites. Here he is in the hospital. He's about to go into surgery, and they want to remove his right leg because they did have to take muscle from his chest and his gluteus and rebuild a lower leg. And then he had to have implants, and he was just this hot mess, okay? He says, wait, don't remove my right leg. I want a second opinion. Because he had done interior design, he knew of a great orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Azevedo. Please get Dr. Azevedo. He's going to be a great resource. Well, sure enough, he wakes up later on out of surgery and he looks down and thinks, oh, phew, my right leg's still there. I still have it. Lo and behold, a nurse comes in to visit Steve a few days later and says, Steve, do you remember telling me that you wanted a second opinion? And he said, yes, thank you so much for listening, because she went to bat for Steve's wishes in the operating room. Well, she says, you know, we had something very special happen today or that day. You could not have told me you wanted a second opinion because you had tubes down your throat and up your nose. You were unable to speak. But I heard you with my heart. And I knew what you wanted, and I requested that. And it was amazing because in that moment, Steve realized we communicate with words. We communicate with our body posture, with our nonverbal cues. And yet there is this vibrational communication that we're emitting all the time. And we can tap into it. and use it in a way that's going to benefit us and others from greater harmony. So that was just one example of how his
Mhm.
eyes were open to this whole other world of possibility, and we can step in to ask for what we want, and what we want really matters.
Right. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a definitely an amazing a miracle.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's a pretty amazing story. Um, and I'm so glad that, he obviously had you to be able to, like, tell those stories, on his behalf. So
I feel honored to do so. He wanted, at one point in the story, one of the short stories is he built a retreat in Oregon and all of these pieces that came together to make it possible.
mhm,
And he lost it in his divorce. Interesting how life has these ups and downs.
mhm,
We have new preferences. They shift and they turn and they evolve with every step of our journey.
mhm,
And it's very satisfying, I'll use that word, to me to honor him in this way because the life lessons that he got to experience, the snippets that readers can gain through these
mhm,
stories, that's what he dedicated his whole life to teaching. That whole last half of his life, he said, "This matters. Look what's possible. Look at how we can shift our attention and our energy, our emotional set point to say, these miracles are all around us. I can
mhm,
tap into them by directing that focus and energy on purpose. And now
mhm.
this gets to live in a bigger way than any property I think ever could."
Mhm. Yeah, definitely, for sure. I would like to ask you, speaking of emotional states, I know this is something you talk about as well. What's one of the simplest and most effective techniques that people can use to switch from one emotional state to another?
Great question. I'm going to recap a couple we've mentioned so far because they're very helpful.
Mm,
In the immediate moment, you find yourself upset. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out like you're breathing out a straw. Do that a few times. That literally moves the air past your vagus nerve to start to calm you down. Again, that opens up the mind and how we can think and starts to relax the body so you're more prepared to handle the situation with broader perspective. You can also breathe in through the nose and let's say you count to 4 and exhale, count to 6. Lengthen the exhale. It has the same effect. I use this often while we were waiting in doctors' offices. We were in a stressful meeting with lawyers. Those moments where breathing can be your best tool because nobody knows you're doing something on purpose. You're
mhm,
actually helping yourself. Another immediate one we've talked about is getting outside. There is
mhm,
harmony and well being all around us. We're here in spring, so watching the new flowers, the green on the tips of the trees, the buds sprouting and coming to life. It reminds
mhm,
us that we have these seasons in our life and things are working out. Not to mention, we have all these biophysical reactions that help us find center.
mhm.
And then something simple too is to put on some music, put on your favorite tunes, move your body. It feels so good to move the body. You can use it as a resource to shift that mental emotional state for the better. And it doesn't take very long. You can shift your mood right away.
Yes, I agree. Also, I love that. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, okay. So I wanted to say, I find it really interesting how we have the short, think of those as like the fire extinguishers that
Mhm,
you can put out the negative or the growth emotions in the moment so that you can have the insight of what am I learning here? And yet, it's very helpful to start adding in little tools on a regular basis that build your stamina. Like, I don't want to run a marathon ever in my life. It's okay. I'll walk a golf course all day long, but running, not so much. I did that too many years on the soccer field, perhaps. I've shifted gears, but I wouldn't go out and run a marathon day one, just right
mhm,
out of the gate. That's silly.
mhm,
So, you would train for that, obviously. Just like you would train for golf, you build some skills or
mhm,
anything new you're trying, build the skills. And I think we can start to learn some mental emotional tools that will pay dividends over time just by using them daily. And one of
mhm,
those would just be meditation. I'll give that as an example. And we can
mm,
talk about that
mhm.
if you'd like.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think, meditation is great, and I think sometimes, like, people don't come to it easily, I think. And I don't know why. I know I've had people say, "Well, no, I went to sleep." So, yeah, feel free to talk about how people can actually use meditation.
I think meditation, at least for me, derives this picture of somebody sitting quiet by themselves in a cave, you
Mhm,
know, achieving this mental mastery. It's just this level of perfection or such inner peace that you're undisturbed. I like to consider meditation as this practice just to get familiar with ourselves. What if it's just being mindful for a few moments
mhm,
so we can hear what's going on in our head? Or we can notice what our body is experiencing in the moment. Is it tense? Is it relaxed? Am I tight? Am I afraid? You could know the emotion that's going on as well. Thoughts, sensations, emotions, just by taking time apart from an external distraction or an external point of focus. And by meditating, just sitting still, closing your eyes, again, letting go of the distractions, it's going to open the line of communication for you to know, what do I need right now?
mhm,
What's going to benefit me right now? What new idea might come to me to solve a problem I'm having? Because when we're in the midst of a problem, we often can't hear the answer or
right,
find the solution. So,
mhm,
meditating, I think it's challenging because it's asking us to step away from just an external stimulus to give us something to do, a way to respond. It's kind of like the
mhm,
golf ball. If we go back to that from the very beginning of our talk, it's not moving.
mhm,
And can we be okay with that? Can we sit still for even a few moments and just be
mhm,
mindful of what's going on here without resisting it or having to change it? And
mhm,
then from there, usually in the quiet, we can get some kind of inkling of maybe what's going to serve me best in the next moment. Again, not big, likely very
mhm.
small, but many times beneficial.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you because I do think like it take again, I think it's a discipline thing. If you're going to excuse me, if you're going to meditate. And a lot of people are like, nope, I need to be doing something. Like my mind started wondering, I started thinking about the thing that I needed to do and blah blah. And I'm like, no, like you really have to be focused and you have to be disciplined enough to let it happen. And I think like, because I didn't do it up until I mean, only started meditating like during the pandemic. Like when I came home and I had, this time and I was like, huh, I need to find these ways to calm my brain down. And, it kind of started as doing that. And I started actually doing it through Peloton. Like I was doing Peloton digital and they had like meditation there. And I was like, huh, I'm gonna try this through Peloton since I do the other things. And then I was like, oh, and then I started finding things that I could do like just at my desk where I didn't have to like leave and go sit in a room. Like I was like, oh, I can just close the door in my office and I can do like 5 to 10 minutes. And it started small. Like it started with like 5 and then I went to 10 and then like, okay, oh, I can actually go to 15 or 20. So, yeah.
And spoiler alert, our mind is never going to get quiet ever in our lives to the point where the thoughts aren't going to come in. You just become more aware of the
Right.
quality of the thoughts, the
Mhm.
content, the frequency, and you have the opportunity. If something's on repeat, maybe it's important. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's something to handle with that. Maybe you recognize, wow, this is just a story I've been telling. Let's tell a new story.
Mhm.
It's information, and we start to elongate the space between those thoughts because I think in those space are those nuggets of understanding ourselves and what we need, opening up to the inspiration, opening up to the ideas, and it helps us in real life because what if someone says something to you that you don't like? We can want to just knee jerk respond. Meditation can help us elongate the gap, find the calm in the situation. So maybe we don't have to put our foot in our mouth and pull it back out and, say something we're going to regret. So it
Right.
helps us in our everyday life to not just have to rush into the next step or phrase or action. We can have a greater sense of awareness as we step into whatever that next thing is.
Exactly. I like that. All right, Kym, why don't you tell us, tell everyone listening or watching how they can connect to you, where they can purchase your book, and about any programs that you offer.
Thank you so much. Swagtail.com is the best place to find me. Think of it as a resource hub. You can check out Miracle on the Mountainside. You can actually read the first chapter or listen to the audio first chapter by Ben Houck. He did an amazing job reading it. And then you can find the other books as well, because it just makes sense is essentially a how-to guide for changing beliefs, learning how to meditate, very simple communication resources to find alignment. And then I've got lots of articles. So if you find a topic that interests you, whether it's yoga or meditation or mindfulness or golf, you can go down those rabbit holes. And then I have 2 live ways you can work with me. One, and they're all on the website, is a monthly workshop to get live feedback on how to do some of these tools. You get a tool every month and we practice so that you can have your mind, body, and spirit in harmony. And then I have a focused golfer program. And that's if you golf and you want to really refine your mental game because you've got some skills and you just notice you fall apart at times, or you want to really take your confidence in focus to the next level. I do the focused golfer as well.
Awesome. I love that. So, yes, we will make sure we drop the link in the show notes so that you all can find all these great resources. All right, Kim, we're going to transition into three things with Kim. I'm going to ask you three questions that just helps, more questions that helps our audience get to know you a little bit better. So, the first one is a two-parter. How do you start and end the day?
Meditation, same thing.
On both sides?
On both sides, actually. In the
Okay.
morning, yeah, it's just pleasant to just clear the slate. I notice how I feel, what's priority.
Mhm.
I can just have the space for the day.
Mhm.
And then once I get the dog settled at night, I just, it's short, 5 or 10 minutes, body scan,
Mhm.
let go of the day. Because sometimes if you have, at least for myself, if I still have a lot of energy going, I want to dial it back. And meditation helps me just channel that
Mhm.
into a better quality of sleep.
Awesome. Love it. Okay, the second question is what's a goal or intention you're focused on?
This is a great question. I recently finished my book proposal for The Space Between Each Shot. This is the golf adventure book that highlights the 100 courses I went on to golf as structure and play in honor of Steve after he transitioned, to give myself some structure in my life and allow myself to find the ability to stand on my own when he left. And for anyone who's gone through a loss or a transition, it's a humorous way to find hope that we can get through the tough things.
I love that. All right, and the last question is where are you currently finding inspiration?
I'm going to step back to something really simple. My dog had surgery a few months back, and we've been at home for 6 months, and that's a long time for me. Usually I'm in the van 75% of the year. So walking the same few blocks after her knee surgery
Mhm.
and watching something like a striped-tailed hummingbird come out in these bright magenta flowers. I'd never seen one before.
Yeah.
Or watching the new trees come to life. A very small stretch can be so magnificent in how it changes on a subtle basis. So my neighborhood has actually been a very beautiful source of inspiration
Mm,
recently.
awesome. I love that. All right. Well, I just want to say, Kim, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us today. And before I let you go, I have to ask you one last question. And that is what are three things you'd like our audience to take away from our conversation today?
Ooh, this is fun. One, you are incredibly powerful. We have that with our choice of focus in any given moment. 2, miracles are all around us. We can tap into them by choosing to focus on what makes us feel good and celebrating those good feeling emotions we have. That's the key to let them in. And then 3, know that your best changes constantly and that doing your best is enough. It doesn't have to look like yesterday or tomorrow or your personal best, but just honor the best you're experiencing right now. That's enough.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Kym, thank you so much again for coming. You can always come back here and share with us again.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Stay tuned, everyone. All right, welcome back to the show. Let's thank Kym again for joining us and for sharing such a wonderful story about just her journey and just all the helpful tips that she provided that will help us to continue to be the best versions of ourselves. Make sure you check out the show notes, and who knows, there might be a little freebie in there for you as well. If you'd like to learn more about Glow Up Girl, make sure you visit us at glowupgirl.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, get tools, insights, and inspiration for your glow up journey. Also, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. We are at Glow Up Girl. And wherever you're listening, don't forget to rate, review, and share. It helps more people find the show. And if you're sharing anything on social that you think we should see, tag us in so we can cheer you on. All right, that does it for today, friends. Thank you again for taking part of your day, taking out time of, oh God, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for taking time out of your day to just spend some of that with me. I really greatly appreciate it. So until next time, until then, stay focused, fab, and glow up. Take care, everyone.